Alright, welcome back to the show. Now what we're going to be doing today, I've got a Taurus tracker, 22 Magnum, and a buddy of mine, he's having a cylinder bolt stop issue. It's not locking up when the hammer's down, it's just freewheeling. So he wanted me to fix it, and while I have it apart, I might as well go ahead and I'm not going to take it to the full-on Colt Python, smooth as a baby's ass polishing, but I am going to take it real damn close. Here I am disassembling the gun. Now I'm using the hollow ground. You always want to use hollow ground flathead screwdrivers to remove any gunsmithing screw, bolt, whatever. That's just the way they're designed. That's what you're supposed to use, or you'll booger up the head of the bolt. I sit here and I find out which one has the best fit. I go ahead and remove the screws from it. Now I just sit there, work the side plate off. That one was actually pretty tight, but I just massaged it off. And you go ahead and that's a piece of there's actually spring stock, but you can use anything that's small enough. When you pull the hammer back on these coil spring pistols, the rod is going to have a little hole. And you put that spring in there, and then you release the hammer, and it holds the spring, so you can just take it out real easy, as you see that I'll do. Just removing the hand, got the trigger off. I'm just opening the cylinder so I can push the bolt stop down far enough. On these guns, it's got a little rod that it rides on. You got to make sure you get that down low enough. It's a little bit tight and you can kind of work it out. Now I was just checking, I wasn't 100% sure what the issue was. I was checking to make sure that the flutes for the bolt stop in the cylinder were deep enough and wide enough, and they were. It fit in it fine. Now I'm marking a little spot on the bolt stop that was touching the frame, and I'm gonna take a little bit off and polish that up. That way that the frame itself isn't gonna stop it from going up into the bolt stop grooves like it's supposed to. Now all I'm doing, I'm looking at the gun. It's been shot before, and I'm looking to see where the wear marks are, because you don't have to polish this thing to where it's like a mirror finish everywhere inside the gun. You don't need to have a showroom shine. All I want to do is to find out where the contact points have been. Then I'm going to polish where the contact points are. You'll see me right now using the Indian oil stones, and then you'll see me swap over to the Arkansas stones, the white and the black. And I mean, obviously you're just going to sit there, start with whatever grit that you need to get the heaviest marks out of what you're polishing, and just progressively go to finer stones until the thing looks like glass. Now, you don't have to use stones. You can use sandpaper that you have on a good flat surface. You can use sandpaper in your hand. You can use a buffer. Right behind me, you can't really see it, but I've got a buffer, and I do some parts on it. I don't like to do them little parts because they'll snatch it out of your hand and sling it across the room. And I use Polish Ray from Brownells. It's a water-based compound, and it works real good. But you'll see how I start off. I'm starting with the outside side of the hand. The hand is the first thing, the number one thing that you want to start with. I start on the outside, and then later you're going to see me move to the edge on the front that rides up the groove in the frame. I polish it up real good, and then I polish the other side near the top, and I even polish right where the tip of the hand makes contact with the spurs on the back of the cylinder. I polish it up real good. I polish up anything that's touching another piece of metal. That's pretty much what you do. If it's a brand new gun, you can use a Sharpie and take the gun apart and mark everything with a Sharpie. Put it back together, work it several times, take it back apart. That's going to show you where your wear points are. That's the outside, got it polished up on the black Arkansas stone. Arkansas stones aren't actually rated in grit, they're rated in hardness, and the black being the hardest, but they say it's the equivalent of roughly 10,000 grit. Now, on this particular gun, remember, I'm taking it to just a high polished Revolver, on the components inside. I'm not going full on like I would with like all of mine or any other people who want me to take it to a full on butter Python grade polish it. But I mean, it's real good, but I didn't need to take it to that level on this gun. But when I do the other ones, I finish it on a leather and linen strop. Now I'm just pointing that part of the trigger needs to be polished as well, because that's going to make contact with your double action sear, or that's part of the double action sear really. And on it's kind of rounded, and so as you work it across the stone, you can't really see it when I'm doing it, but you start and you roll it across that stone just on that rounded spot that engages the hammer. And you want to make sure that you do this right, because you don't want any flat spots. Now, I've done it 50 billion times, so I didn't have no trouble. But you can also, that's a good spot to do on the buffing wheel, because it's round. You don't have to worry about putting no flats in it. And then that's just the rounded part where the double action sear of the trigger engages and keeps pushing up on the hammer, just matching it up to what I just did on the trigger itself. And just you do it for a little bit, put it back in there, work it with your hands, see if you feel any grit, see if everything lets off clean, until it, just keep doing it until it feels right, and then you can move on to stoning the single action sear on the trigger itself. Now I start off with this diamond hone, and I just start, really I'm just getting some of the flashy mark removed that's on it from the casting process. And this is, like I was saying, this is the spot where in single action the sear of the trigger engages the hammer notch. I do both sides, it's kind of it's notched in there. I do both sides, just a little extra work just to make sure that nothing's going to touch anything rough. Now, after the diamond, I moved to a 400 grit oil stone. Now, these stones, these little small stones like this, I'm sure Brownell sells them. I've never looked or bought none from them. They're probably more expensive than where I get them. But if you go to McMaster Car, they have a huge selection of grits all the way up to, I think 2,000 or something. But I use the 400 and a 600, and then I moved to my smaller Arkansas stones. Now, you got to keep in mind when you pick your stone out, the edge of it needs to not have any chips. It doesn't need to be rounded. It needs to be pretty sharp and square, because it's going to fit into these notches on these triggers, and it needs to stay that way. And all I'm doing right there with my fingernail is I'm just running that nail right up at where the notch is to see if I feel any grit. You'll be surprised. Your fingernail, you can pick up more than some people realize, and I just keep checking that until that thing just is like glass. And that's on the inside of the hand where I polished it. You only have to polish that if it makes contact in the groove. Most of them I've not seen it, but that one was, so went ahead and slicked it up real good. I went ahead and put the cylinder bolt stop back in there. First thing I did, make sure you put the little spring back in and get your transfer bar and your trigger in there. I got the transfer bar in. Now put the hand in. It's a little tricky. You got to make sure that little detent behind the trigger, you push it in as you get the little pins in there and the holes lined up. Now that's real easy just to put. I mean, you just slide the trigger rebound spring behind the trigger. It's got a little notch in the back of it, of the trigger inside that groove. Just get it on that, pull it back, pull the pin out. Pretty much the same process on putting on the hammer spring. It's got a little groove up in there just like that, little spot for it. You line it up in there. The plate on the end of it, it's got 2 grooves. You want to line that up, and then when you pull the hammer back, you take the little piece of wire out. You're good to go. Now all we got to do, install the side plate, put the grip on, take it for a test drive. But remember, like I stated at the beginning of Disassembling, use hollow ground screwdrivers. I can't tell you how many guns I've took apart through the years that somebody's went at them with mechanic screwdrivers that you use on cars and stuff, and have the tapered sides, and it just boogers them up. The screws on guns are real soft steel anyway. It's real easy to mess them up. When you tighten these down, you don't have to gorilla them to death. You just snug them down like they should be. Remember, they're small screws. Also, I ended up on the trigger where it's a part of the trigger that when you pull the trigger, it pushes down on the bolt stop. Well, there were some casting marks still on there, like some flashing, that ended up being the main culprit. They didn't allow the bolt stop to come all the way up like it was supposed to. I just filed them flashing marks off, and that did the trick. In single action, the trigger let off real clean and smooth. I like it. I may lighten up the spring just a little bit more. It seems still a little stiff. We're going to test it in double action right now, but I feel like I'm probably going to lighten that spring up a little more. But let's see what it does. Okay, we tested it out. Shoots pretty good. I can't really lighten up this hammer spring very much more. The firearm pin protrusion, I may have to work on it a little bit. It's not, then again, this is 22 long rifle, not 22 Magnum. This is really a 22 Magnum. It can shoot the long rifle, not worth a shit. But the double action sear is a little bit short, and you'll see, I'll show you. You know, full cock, it's right there. But the double action sear, it's short strokes, see? It drops off, it ain't even reaching the half. I may TIG weld that up, give it a little more length for him, but I don't know, I'm putting a lot of effort into this thing, but it's real smooth, and let me let y'all hear it. I don't know if y'all can hear that or not, but I do know this, that if it still had the grit that, you know, from the factory, the heavy sanding marks and stuff like it, then it would, you'd be able to hear it for sure, but you want it to be smooth and quiet to tune the action. And I didn't take it quite to, you know, Colt Python level, but it's a lot better than it was.